Okay, we'll try this again. I think this webcam is on its last legs. Move this here. So I hope you're able to see this. I'm going to wait. And hopefully you could log back in. I'm using now my laptop camera. So I hope you can see this. All right, yes, there we go, Debbie. This is junk. This is junk. This is the camera that I use, and you wiggle the cord, and it doesn't. It's happened like 3 times. Hello, Lisbeth. Sorry about this, everyone. It's embarrassing. Not. It is what it is, you know. I told you it's going to be challenging. My notes, they're really, it is what it is. So anyhow, I was talking about, I hope everyone will start bouncing back in, and I'll talk for another 30 minutes or so. But yeah, my decans are where I spend my energy for understanding astrology and the tarot. And it's easy for me in that sense. So when I do readings, I can easily interpret what, the reading by bringing in these astrological influences. So yes, astrology. And what's interesting too is I'm beginning to realize with the content that I've been posting on Instagram about astrology with the tarot, doesn't seem like a lot of people are interested in it. Or maybe they are, but it may be a little too confusing for them. And it really isn't. As long as you get like a basic understanding of no, my camera did. I just remember when I was moving my chart, my stand, I just moved this a little bit. This camera came undone. And so the cable is not very reliable. It's happened before when I've done lives. And so I think I'm going to have to put this out of retirement. It's unfortunate, but let's see. Evangelina, my readings with astrology. Thank you. I hope it makes sense. I'm beginning to feel that a lot of people don't understand it. And so I don't want to put anyone off, but I want to share this content, and it means that much to me. So people that are interested, they'll listen, and they'll either take it or they'll thumb it down and not think much about it. But I feel it's really important. And I'm talking coming from the moon in Leo. I'm proud of what I'm learning here. And so when I have that kind of excitement of, revelation with readings, it's not going to get to everyone, but if I could get to a few people, that's great. It's interesting because the numbers of people on YouTube who watch my channels has been dropping, and I haven't been putting too much content, so that could be part of it. But I'm also beginning to think, because I have technical issues and stuff, that I think some people just don't really understand the message, the information that I have with astrology and the tarot. Let's see here. I like the astrological influences and discussions. Hey, I don't have to talk. I forgot. I can do this. Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's best. Yeah. And I think it's that if you have a good understanding, layman's terms is just very basic. just getting to the nuts and bolts, the basics of what makes the tarot what it is, what makes the minor and major arcana what it is, and astrology, just understanding that and learning how to put it together. I know there's some other readers who are learning and they're bringing in decans into their tarot readings. I'm like, yes, they're starting to understand. They're starting to understand that relationship. And the same here with doing moon readings. When I first started this channel, and I got the Moon Oracle deck, I love this deck. It's beautiful. It's very simple, and that's what I need, because if I do complex readings, I need to come from a place that I don't have to read so much detail. Like here, the perfect example. This is from Tarot of the Holy Light. There is a lot going on in here. There is a lot of information. So when it comes to decks that have complex details, there's a lot of information that I can get from it. So when I work with decks that have this kind of background environment, I feel like I get almost everything I need in a reading in just a few cards, because I don't want to overcomplicate it when I do readings for people. Let's see. I know more about astrology than I do about the tarot. It helps me a lot. It sounds like you came from astrology first, Calla Lily, and then you went to tarot. Because some people have done that. They came from an astrological background, and then they go into the tarot. For me, it's the opposite, but I'm only doing astrology to, again, to a certain extent. Because once you start bringing in those outside elements, you have to be doing a reading for someone who knows a little bit about astrology. They understand about the squares and the conjunctions and the movements of the planets and how they relate to each other, and bring that into the tarot. It is a lot. But yeah, when I first started this channel, I started doing the moon readings. I just loved it, because the moon is the other part of who we are. We have the sun. The full moon is the reflection of the sun. And two, with Leo being ruled by the sun, when the full moon is in Leo, I feel it's extra special, because it is the reflection of that energy, that vitality that Leo's known to have, that magnetic personality. But then with the moon coming into that position, it emotionally, it stirs the Leo influence more so. But we have to contain it. We hear people about full moon madness and stuff. You don't want to go overboard too much with that energy when that moon is in your own sign, in the sign that you were born. Let's see. I don't bring in a lot of aspects. Yeah, there's some people, if you want to use this deck and do readings, it has the aspects, it has the nodes, it has the characteristics of mutable, fixed, cardinal. You could technically do a reading with this. It's not really a tarot deck, not really an oracle deck, because it's the 12 signs, the 10 planets, the 7 traditional and the 3 modern planets, the aspects, the elements. It's perfect. It's an astrological deck. And so I would probably use this deck with just a few tarot cards, but I won't pull out the aspects, because that would throw me off a bit. Debbie77, I have that deck. I'm so used to speaking in Roman time. Oops, I'm sorry, but I don't know how to use it. Yeah, the moon deck, the moon oracle, I have in my playlist. I think it's like 2 hours long. You may want to scroll through it. I talk about how you can do readings with that deck. The Moon Oracle is a deck that you can actually start doing predictive readings with, because the Moon Oracle deck. Let me see if I have the book here. I don't want to take out the deck. Excuse me for reaching over. We have the phases, waxing and waning, and all the elements. We got air and water. It also features the moon mansions, which I was starting to explore, but it started going a little bit more in a direction that it was going into the old ways of doing astrology. The 28 mansions, which reflect the different phases of the moon. And then we have the gods or the goddesses. I just want to show you this very quickly. Hecate, Freya. And I was doing readings when I first started, emphasizing the full moon, the waxing, the waning energies of the moon, with this deck in particular. But it is a wonderful deck, but if you want to do readings with it for timing and predictions, there is a layout here. Let's see where I could show it. Where is this layout? Okay. I'm sorry, I'm still... I can't find it. Okay, anyhow. It also has the phases of the moon. So it has the moon ephemeris. And it goes all the way up to 2032. Okay, but the timing is different. I think it's you have to do like the 8 hours, and subtract that from your time zone. But this is good, exclusively to do moon readings. Let's see here. In Roman times, they were known by the moon. Yes, the moon signs rather than their sun signs. And so that's going back to, I feel the reason why that was is because they found the energy of the moon and also the position of the planets as they were seeing the constellations in the sky, that it was very powerful. The moon energy just added that much more to the influence of the sun and the signs that they're in. This deck is wonderful, and I'm happy it's still in print. And it is an astrological deck, but it's moonology, not the deck, but it's working exclusively with the moon, and again with the phases of the signs. Wondering which tarot decks would be good to use with astrology. Well, I've already mentioned this deck, Heavenly Bodies. Tarot decks, not astrological decks. I'm sorry, Elizabeth. Depending on where you want to emphasize, like, again, I work with elements. So I have my Dreams of Gaia, which is broken up into elements. There's no pentacles, cups, swords, or wands. The Dreams of Gaia is all elements. So it's water, earth, air, fire. So that's one way that you can look at a tarot deck and seeing what that influence is. So I would say the Dreams of Gaia. The Pagan Otherworlds. Okay, this is here's an example of Oops, there they go again. Okay, so this is the Dreams of Gaia. Here's our symbol for air. Sorry for that reflection. So this is 7 of air. Okay, but it's a non-system deck. So Raven Phelan, who created this deck, puts in a different approach to working with these elements. Astrologically, it may be a little hard to read with it, but because I work with elements, I can easily work with that deck and do a reading with someone's astrological influence. Because what happens is if I do a reading and that person has, if they tell me their sun, moon, and rising signs, and if those tend to be more on the fiery side, and I get a reading that's showing that they need more water or a little bit more earth, I can easily do that with the Dreams of Gaia. Let's see. So Elizabeth, I would say the Dreams of Gaia again. Oh, I was talking about the pagan otherworlds. Here's a pagan otherworlds. It's probably not a good. This represents the planet of Saturn, the world, in the major arcana. There are 10 cards in the major arcana that are associated with planets, and also in that major arcana, there are the archetypes that are assigned, not the planets, but the astrological signs. So the world is Saturn. Death is associated with Scorpio. The Tower is associated with Mars. Temperance with Sagittarius. Wheel of Fortune, Jupiter. Hangman is Neptune, which I'll be discussing about for Pisces. So those are some examples. I think this deck too, with Attila, the Unified Esoteric Tarot. This is the deck that got me into the decans, understanding it. It's a bit worn down, but here we go. So here, this deck, I believe now is out of print, but there's a sister deck, the sister deck being the follow-up for this deck that is designed differently. It works with the suits, like the clubs, diamonds, clubs, diamonds, spades, and hearts. And so this is the Unified Esoteric Tarot, but as you could see, there's reference to the minor arcana. We have planetary influence, Venus and Aquarius. Now this deck, the placements of the signs and planets traditionally are different because Attila uses all 10 planets. The DOF system only works with 7, only works with the traditional planets. So the Unified Esoteric Tarot incorporates those 3 additional planets of Uranus, Pluto, and Neptune. So the placements are different in that deck. See, the mansions of the moon, I don't understand it completely, but it is. It's its own way of understanding the phases of the moon, but they're assigned differently. Like, if you could see here, okay, they're also assigned decans, and that's what kind of got me curious. Like, the moon has its own decans, and the decans you could see, like Aries, there we go, 1251 to 2543, ruled by the Sun and Jupiter, this particular mansion. Okay. And there's a deck that I've seen on Instagram that the woman's from from the UK, and she created a deck that incorporates the mansions. It's not coming to me. I was thinking about getting the deck, but I start realizing, like I said earlier, I have too much on my plate for learning things. So I decided to pass on it and really focus on what I want to bring into the tarot. So I need to go back and kind of explore the moon mansions, but there's different interpretations of the mansions. Yes, the Guild Tarot. I love the Guild Tarot. It's over there because my table is full right now with things. But the Guild Tarot is the deck that I've been working with right next to the Barbara Walker. And actually, here's one of the cards. Okay, and the Guild Tarot incorporates the Tree of Life. Oh, there's that brick background. I don't know what's going on. And that's what I want to focus on with my practice, because with the Tree of Life, you can bring in some astrology into it. I'm only going to put in a little bit, not a lot, but you can understand the placements where they are in the Sephiroth, and where they go from bottom to top and top to bottom and in between. All the relationships between the planets, the signs, also with the tarot. And so that's where I want to work on more on the Kabbalic side. And that's something different in itself. But it still brings in, as you could see, my interest of astrology. Let's see. Yes, I think you'll like the Guild Tarot. The Guild Tarot, again, it holds a little bit of a Doth influence, just design wise. Okay, I don't want to give too much away because I may be showing these cards in the coming weeks, but this is an example. This is 8 of Cups. This is our first decan for the sign of Pisces. But if you stay tuned and watch later on the week, I will be having my readings for the month of Pisces, but I break these readings down based on the elements of the astrological sign. So there's going to be 4 readings, separate videos, readings for water signs, earth signs, fire, and air signs. A different way of doing the readings. And then I'm going to do a profile, which I do each astrological month when we go into a new one. I do a profile of that sign. So if you look back, I have a profile, very general, very basic layman's terms, of characteristics of Aquarius. And I think as soon as I'm done with this, I'll start working on Pisces. So I'll be talking about the characteristics of Pisces, the influences of tarot cards that are associated with Pisces. And there is more than one card that I put in with Pisces. So you have to stick around and check that out. And so that's how I break it down each month. So I'll have those readings spread out. Again, we move into Pisces on the 19th. The 18th is the last day that we are in Aquarius. So if you want to squeeze out any of that Aquarian energy and put that influence as we get towards the end of our astrological wheel and the end of our winter season for another month, 5 weeks, I think, this is the time to do it. This is the time to start focusing on how we want to evolve. Let's be the change that we would like the world to see. Let's see growth. That really excites me. I like to see people grow. I like to see people progress. And I don't have any Aquarius in me, but I can feel that influence. And so that probably explains this full moon in Leo, why this energy, or in the month of Aquarius, why I'm feeling this kind of, excitement to make change, to move forward, So that just hit me right now. That seemed like such a clear thing for me. So that's an example. You take that Leo excitement, that energy, and you start getting these revelations with that Aquarius influence of working as a team, working with community, be following your own ideals, not someone else's. Not forming your own group, but people who think and feel the same. They want to move in the same direction. I've got that Leo moon energy. Yeah, I think it just kicked in. Thank you for catching that. I'm a little embarrassed. But loyalty, creativity. And one thing I want to talk about very quickly, and I hit upon it every now and then, and I'll hopefully make mention of it when I do these profiles of the astrological signs with the tarot, is the parts, our body parts that are associated with these signs. Okay, so Aquarius deals, I believe, with the nervous system, and I have to stop because I want to make certain that I get the information correctly. It does deal with the nervous system. Here we go. The Achilles tendon. So when you really look at the astrological wheel and we start with Aries and we end with Pisces, Aries, we start with the head. They rule the head. And so their strength, their energy comes by the physicality of the head. And that includes the eyes, the nose, the mouth, the structure, the jawline, the mind, how they think. And Aries is very fiery, so they're always moving. But with Aquarius, it's the Achilles tendon, the nervous system, the electrical system. So things like just that that trigger us, that jar us. The meridian system is the large intestine. And of course, it rules the 11th house. The adrenals, that's probably a good way of putting that. What really gets us moving. And the adrenals are right around our kidney area too, so we have to be mindful of that. Pisces. Okay, I thought Aquarius was the lymphatic system, but Pisces is the feet. Okay, so remember, Aries is the head. Taurus, we start going into the neck, ears. But Aries is just this. It's the facade. It's what you see right there in front of you. Okay. So Taurus is the neck, the throat, how they speak. And so we start moving down. Gemini, we start going to the shoulders, the arms, the hands, so on and so forth. Leo, what I was starting to say is Leo rules the heart. Okay. And then after Leo, we go into Virgo. Okay. And that's the solar plexus. It's this lower mid-range area. It is the small intestines, the pancreas. I am reading this. Obviously, I can't remember all of this. But Aquarius is pretty interesting because it works on that energy of what can stir us, what can really awaken the body to make change. But Pisces, it's the feet, the lymphatic system, the immune system, and that rules the 12th house. I'm going to talk quite a bit about the 12th house when I go into this Pisces discussion about the profile, because the 12th house is something very, very interesting, and I'm feeling very strongly with it. So I'm going to talk more about that when I get into that Pisces discussion. But yeah, there are all these connections to the body parts. So with Leo, it's the heart. The opposing sign of Aquarius, it's the nervous system. So the last thing that a Leo wants to have right now is to have any agitation, because um, that will throw their natural life force in disarray. And when that energy gets thrown off for Leo, that fiery energy, what happens is it starts shaking that confidence. It starts weakening that strength. And so that's why with this full moon in Leo, this is the energy. If you feel like you're having some weak Leo influences, like with the heart, this is a time to start focusing on this, start putting more emphasis and care. Let's put some energy, let's put some love into this. We just had Valentine's Day yesterday, so there's a lot of heart, hopefully good heart out there, a lot of love, a lot of smiles that was taking place yesterday. And I think having Valentine's Day when the moon moved into Leo is just um, a perfect example of how um, the ruler of the heart can be of loving and of compassion and of loyalty. Um, so that's it. As always, when I do my Mystic Moon Mondays, there's tangents. Any questions? Is there anything that you would like me to touch upon? Seeing that I lost some time with whatever outage was going on here. But let me know if you have anything else that you'd like to say. And I want to ask, because I put up a post earlier today on YouTube, a community post. I want to share a discussion, but this is someone who has a channel and they're active with it. I'm interested in bringing people on, no more than 4 people, to discuss the differences of traditional style tarot and modern and contemporary tarot decks, because there is a difference. And the difference goes into when they were produced, the themes that were used, the way that they are illustrated, how they're depicted to break down the tarot when it comes to the major minor arcana. There are decks that focus more on feminine energy, masculine energy, so on and so forth. So anyone who watches this, if you are interested in taking part, you have to join me live though, and be open with your thoughts about these decks. Why maybe you have a traditional deck that just doesn't make sense to you, but you like it, or why this modern deck is just so, it rings of me, so on and so forth. I want to explore the differences, okay? So that maybe we can understand why these decks were created with a certain direction, a certain theme, and also keep in mind the time that they were created. So the timeline, if you subscribe to my channel, you'll probably see the post, hit the notification bell, just keep in touch. What I'm doing to describe the time frame for modern decks is from 2000 to where we are right now, 2022. So that's 22 years. That's 2 decades and 2 years of tarot decks. So I'm putting that in the modern contemporary genre. Anything from 1999 and earlier, I will put it as traditional, maybe vintage. And if you have decks that are from the 70s, 80s, the older the better, because then we can start seeing a process. People have these older decks and they have some newer ones. I like to see the differences, and so that we can discuss that. So if you watch YouTube and maybe you can't partake in this, but if you know of someone who may be interested and they have a YouTube channel, make mention of this, because I want to bring, again, probably about 4 people in the next few weeks to discuss this. I think it'll be fun too. Okay, so that's our full moon. our full moon in Leo, full moon in Aquarius, balancing of opposing energies, air and fire, but air and fire can actually complement each other. Air fuels certain aspects of the fire signs. With Aquarius influence, it can influence Leo in a way where all that energy can be transferred in a way to how they see things, how Leo can be more of a role player in certain situations, instead of being individual and being themselves. Leo and Aquarius brings in more of the community influence, interaction with people, but also following Leo, which is hard, following what they believe in. Okay, Leo's fixed, Aquarius is fixed. I think these are the only two signs that are opposite of each other. No, I take that back, with the exception of Taurus and Scorpio. I was going to say that both hold the same kind of characteristics. So they are both fixed. So that can be a challenge right there, but they can still learn and work with each other's differences. Opposites attract. I strongly believe that. Yeah, Calla Lily, if you're interested, let me know. But I think it'll be a lot of fun. It's something that I haven't seen on YouTube. So I want to try and do this in the next few weeks if I can get enough people interested. So for people who are collectors, who are tarot enthusiasts, it's good if you have a wide spectrum of decks, because remember, we're going from 20 to 22, 2000 to 2022, and for modern decks in 1999 and back, for more of the older traditional. And what I mean by traditional is just the imagery, the meanings that were put in that deck. An example of a traditional deck would be an RWS deck. It's very traditional. Doth is another example. Definitely Tarot of the Holy Light. Modern decks are like decks that we're seeing right now. And a lot of the decks now are speaking about what's going on. Their stance is a little bit more on identity, ethnic-wise, age-wise, politically. So we can watch this. We can see the progression of these decks, genres throughout the decades, and see how they've changed. So I think it's going to be wonderful. Alrighty. Let's see. I don't have enough experience with tarot. I'll watch, though. That's totally fine. That is totally fine. Again, I think this is cared more for those who are readers and they have a good selection of decks, like a variety of decks. So we'll see. We'll see. I think I have one or two people who may be interested. I have to see what they have to say. But yeah, I think it'll be wonderful. Okay, so have a wonderful last few days of Aquarius. Okay. And our full moon in Leo, we wrap up tomorrow, and then later on the day, the moon moves in Virgo. So when a moon is still in its not fullest, because it's going to start waning, for about 1 or 2 days, the moon is still full. So if the moon is at its fullest point in Leo, and let's say the moon moves into Virgo, because Leo is in its 28-degree position in the moon, so it's at the tail end. There's 30 degrees that the phases of the moon move through. So when we get to the tail end of it, the moon will probably be like maybe still 99, maybe 98%. I think it's going to be 99% full, but it's going to slowly start bringing in that energy of Virgo. So right now, Leo is at at the tail end. It's in the full moon, but it's at 28 degrees. And when we go into Virgo, it's going to be in the early degrees of that placement of the moon. So it's not going to be at its fullest. It's not going to be in the middle. I think the middle, like 10 to 20 degrees, I feel is the strongest position for a sign to be in, whether it's waxing or waning, because that's where I feel that energy starts coming into play. So if you start seeing yourself being a little nitpicky over the next few days, it's that influence of the moon in Virgo, wanting to get into the specifics of certain things. So that's where that energy starts shifting. Okay, I'll end it here. Thank you so much, everyone, for keeping me company. I'll do my Mystic Moon Mondays. I try to do at least twice a month. I usually do the full moon and the new moon. So I'll see about doing the new moon the first week of March. I may be out of town, so I'll see how to work that out. If not, maybe I'll do something the week after or maybe the week before. And stay tuned for those readings I have for the month of Pisces for all the elements, water, fire, earth, and air signs. So that's all I have for you right now. So stay tuned. Any questions you have, thank you so much. And I appreciate you for being supportive through all my technical hiccups and lighting issues and cats running across the screen, if you've seen those episodes. So have a wonderful week, everyone. Okay, thank you again. Thank you, Evangelina, Kala Lily, Lisbeth, everyone that I lost earlier, and Tarot Stash, Lady Capera Unk. I think I'm missing a few others. But have a wonderful week, everyone. I will see you again soon.